Just a few moments ago, most Malaysians had witnessed the speeches by the two party leaders, one promising the sky, while the other was tugging at our heartstrings. So, Malaysia, who are you going to vote for? Before you make that decision, perhaps you need to think of what is going to happen when either one takes over Malaysia and is forced to lead us through the impending economic calamity globally. Now, what is happening in Malaysia is that Malaysia's economy has become two-thirds dependent. Two-thirds of the economy is dependent on the export market. Malaysia currently sits in an area where the surrounding regions are more economically friendly. Places like Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, where resources are abundant, labor is cheap, it makes it a manufacturing haven. So, when it comes down to it, when the price war begins in the economic scene, it is only natural for the bigger giants, the bigger manufacturers, to proceed to these countries. If they already haven't started, they will do so. Is Malaysia ready to embrace such an issue? Are they willing to address such an issue? With a heavy influence of China in Malaysia and a heavy, gigantic stake in some of the iconic projects, namely the Tun Razak Exchange and the high-speed rail, are we in a position to hold our ties with them for just a while? Or the question is, would the leaders want to ask them to hold on while we strengthen our local economy? Or are they too deep into the mess that they really can't pull any strings? Looking at how the National Coalition and Najib's leadership has been in the economic front, having them lead us for the next 5 years can be disastrous. Why? Well, he is known to give out a lot of handouts, and giving out a lot of handouts reduces or depletes our liquidity when it comes to government spending and the ability to strengthen our economy, because people in Malaysia are not willing to spend as how they used to be spending previously. So there's going to be a lot of money that is kept away without being pumped into the system. And with the impending economic climate, it may force Malaysia, because of the lack of better judgment of Najib and his coalition, to force us to print new money, which could cause our interest rate to drop and our standing globally to also reduce. Are we willing to face such a reduction in standard? The Chinese businesses prefer to utilize their labor and their workforce. Recently, of course, Najib had stated that they had offered 3 million, they had created 3 million jobs in Malaysia, where in reality, the 3 million jobs did not all go to Malaysians. The majority of it was being made for the foreigners, because the jobs that were being created were mostly blue-collar jobs, which most Malaysians are not interested in. Fake news and fake reports have been spread by the National Coalition on economic matters. And as a person who has been in the economic scene, it just doesn't tally. What is being given to the people is absolutely adulterated. The reality of the matter is being faced by the average person who has to live their lives on a daily basis on a stable salary or income. Many youth are unable to attain jobs because the job market is saturated and most companies can't hire because the cost of producing or running the operations has escalated so high within the past couple years. So only the lower level blue collar jobs were being made available, and those were being made available for the foreigners. Now, having said that, how do we get over it? Having personally seen the works of Tun Mahathir when it comes to braving such economic calamities, I believe that not just Tun Mahathir but Pakatan Harapan as a whole has genuine intelligence to be able to bring Malaysians through this impending economic calamity. Their aim at strengthening the local market before bringing in foreign direct investments is exactly what any superpower needs. China did that, the US did that. Most other growing economies are doing that because only if your locals are strong would you be able to support any sort of foreign direct investments that comes in. Otherwise, you'd be just having to force print and give handouts to people and reduce your standing in the global scene. And that was faced by us even just a couple of years back when our ringgit dwindled to such a low that our surrounding countries did not want to accept them even in the exchange platforms. So if you ask me, I would say that the oppositions have a better chance of walking us through the economic climate compared to the National Coalition. So my vote, for the sake of Malaysia, at least for the next 5 years, would go to the oppositions and not to the National Coalition. But should Pakatan Harapan not perform, I will switch back to the National Coalition. But then again, when you look at the track record of those forming Pakatan Harapan, places like Penang or Selangor, they have outdone what the previous governments have done financially. And even when you talk about the social structure, they have been doing an impeccable job. So people, in a few hours, the fate of Malaysia will rest in your hands. Choose wisely, but most importantly, choose responsibly. Let's all go towards a better future.